Welcome. In this video, I'm going to provide a demonstration of how to complete your lab activities. Here I am in Blackboard. I am taking a look at Lab 1, preparing data for analysis. We'll use this as an example, but the instructions are the same for every single lab. So if you understand how to do one, you'll be able to do all of the other ones as well. So we have a set of instructions. It begins by having you complete the required reading. This is the chapter. Over here, I have the textbook pulled up. Here is the welcome menu with the introduction. I'm going to go over here to the Labs tab. And because I'm looking at Lab 1, I'm going to click on Lab 1, Preparing Data for Analysis. So here I am. This is the ebook. I have the learning objectives, and then that comes right into the textbook content. So 1.1, 1.2, all of this is the textbook content. That's what the required reading is, what that's talking about. So you take some time to look at all of this. Make sure to look at it when you can concentrate. You don't have a lot of distractions. You're not too tired because it's a little bit technical, but this is going to give you the background information that you need in order to be successful when you actually complete the labs. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here to the bottom of the textbook content. Alternatively, you can use the menu right here because after the textbook content is the lecture video that follows. So number 2, we have number 1, required reading. Number 2, lecture video. So this is at the very bottom of the textbook, jumps right into the lecture video. This is a lecture video prepared by the author of the textbook, and you can click this and play it directly from the website. You can play it full screen if you like to. It has subtitles or closed captioning. And you can take a look at this. This is going to review and highlight all of the key content to get you prepared, again, for those labs. There's some repetition, but it's allowing you to hear it instead of reading it, which can be helpful for people who prefer visual or prefer auditory learning styles rather than visual learning styles. And it's going to help reinforce those key concepts. I know a lot of students are nervous about this class. They may not have taken statistics before. They may not have taken math in a long time. So when you hear it again and the key concepts are repeated, it's going to help you understand it better. Following this, you can confirm that you have understood it by moving on to the test your knowledge questions. So that's step number 3, test your knowledge. So I'm just coming right down the list. So here was the textbook chapters, here was the video, and then here's the test your knowledge questions. So I've opened this up before, but I'm going to click on resume your attempt. Yours would say probably begin or start your first attempt. I've opened this up before to look at it. That's why it says resume your attempt, because it does keep track of your progress. So you click on this and it's going to open up 10 questions, and these are going to go over some of the key content from the chapter. So I left off on question 3 last time. When you start, it'll start on question 1. And then you answer each of these questions and then hit save answer. It goes on to the next one. So hit save answer. Processes, goes to the next one, choose an answer. I'm not looking at the answer, so don't put the answers I'm putting here. All the way to the end, you hit save answer, and then I am finished / submit for grading. And then again, it will keep track of your progress, give you feedback. If you see you're having trouble with certain areas, go back, take a look at that chapter again, take a look at the lecture video again to make sure you have a fair understanding before you go into the lab portion. So now I'm going to go back to Lab 1. Here we are. So after test your knowledge comes the practice lab. So that's step number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The practice lab is going to be right here. This gives you an overview of what you're going to be doing in the practice lab. And then here is the digital content that you're going to need to complete it. So every lab provides a Word document. This is a template that's going to structure the activity. You're going to write the answers and move content from SPSS into that template. And then we have an SPSS data file that you're going to download and open on your computer in order to complete this. Now the practice lab has one more component, and that is this tutorial video. So you'll download the Word document, download the SPSS file, open that in Word and SPSS respectively. So you have to have SPSS up and running on your machine when you do this. And then you're going to play this video. And as you do that, you're going to follow along with the video. It's the entire lab. and this is going to be narrated by the author explaining how to complete the assignments, how to complete the activities, walking you through the reasoning. This is the answer, this is why the answer, so you can see all of this modeled to you and understand why the process works the way it does. After you do that, you're going to upload that Word file right into this webcom website. So you'll complete this Word document, save it. You could save it with your last name or the date, however you'd like to, and you can upload it here. It's going to save it for you. For one thing, you and your professor can track your progress and see how you're moving along in the class. And also, it's going to allow you to find it later. So you may have it on your hard drive, but sometimes students lose track of documents, but perhaps you're going to be using this technique for a project later, a research project, and you can go back and find those documents to help you through it. Or perhaps you're studying for an exam. You can go back and find these documents and access them. So that's the benefit of that feature. Finally, we move on to step 5, which is the actual lab assignment. So there's an overview of the lab assignment here, and then it's the same process. You have the Word document, and then you have the SPSS data file. But there is no tutorial video. So there was here, there's not here. But the good news is that it's going to mirror the practice lab very closely. They're very similar. The questions are almost identical. Sometimes they are identical, but they're just it's different content. So the process is going to be the same. The logic and the thinking will be the same, but now you're going to get a chance to try it independently. So when you finish that, you're going, and of course, you can look back. You can look back at the text, look back at the video from the practice lab, look back at your practice lab assignment as you do that. And when you're done, once again, we'll upload the Word document here. It's just, again, it's a place for it to be stored for you and your professor to track your progress. You can look back at it later, but you're not going to receive a grade for this content we've taken a look at so far. So some students will submit this here, and then they'll end up getting a 0. Wait a minute, why did I get a 0? I did the lab, I did all the work. Why didn't I get credit? Well, this is to store and keep track of your progress, but the way you're going to get credit is by coming back into Blackboard to the assignment description. So this is the lab 1. This is the example I'm using as lab 1 assignment description. And you can click on this link here. It says click to launch, because this assignment description is actually a test in Blackboard. So you can click to launch or open right here. And what that's going to do is open up a set of questions. There are 20 of them, and they correspond to the questions in the lab assignment, not the practice lab, but the lab assignment. So what I'm going to do is open those up to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Here we go. So here is the lab assignment that's coming up here in just a moment, as soon as my computer can have that available for me. There we go. So this is what you'll have been working on, answering these questions, right? So you're working through this process. All of the labs have 20 questions that you've answered by filling in the answer. And now these questions are going to correspond to these questions. So question 1, what is the sample size of the study? Question 1, what is the sample size of the study? So here you've looked at the data and you've answered the question. And then here you're going to choose the right answer that corresponds to it. So if it were 10, you would click 10. How many variables are in this data set? However many variables are in this data set. So when you go back, take a look, see what you wrote, and then choose the right answer. I'm just going to click something to show you. And you go through this whole process, all 20 questions, right? So the last one, what is the smallest score in the data set, right? We come down here. What is the smallest score in the data set? You choose that answer, and then you click Save and Submit, and that's how you're going to get a grade. You're actually able to complete these assignments twice, so you can get the feedback. If you're happy with the grade, you understand the material, fantastic, you can move forward. But if you're not happy with the grade and you feel like you still don't understand, you can go back and do it again. Learning statistics is like learning a new language. Repetition is very key to that process. So if you end up getting a poor grade that you're not happy with, when you have the opportunity, you can go back and start the process over. So we can go back to the textbook, you can reread the material, you can rewatch the lecture video, redo the practice lab, and then redo the lab assignment. Where did the lab assignment go? Right here. Redo the lab assignment and go back and retake the questions. You get 2 tries. And a lot of students are able to significantly raise their grade the second time. But make sure you are following all the steps and going through the process so that you can have the greatest opportunity to learn the material well. So this is the process for completing the labs and receiving credit for those. Hope this is helpful to you as you move forward in this class. Thanks.